This is the official syllabus with which I am happy and unhappy both at the same time. Why happy? Because it gives you lots of things to talk about. It will take 37 to 40 lectures. Yes. But why unhappy? Because the way it is structured is in some different manner which is more thematic than chronological. तो उससे दिक्कत बड़ी होती है because what UPSC is presuming that in your school and colleges you may have studied world history already, so you know the overall chronology of events. So let us not go into that, let us focus on themes. ऐसे तो हमारा काम होने से रहा, we can't do that. We have to start from basic chronology of major events also and then go into themes. So for example, enlightenment and modern ideas. Look at this problem कहाँ पे आता है. The first topic has to be enlightenment, no doubt हम बात करेंगे. But then you have rise of socialist ideas up to Marx, period of Marxism, Marxian socialism. Now यहाँ पे आपने 1-3 में पढ़ लिया Marx, who is talking about the problems which are created because of industrial revolution. But chapter 3 आता है industrialization. How can it be if you don't read chapter 3? How can you understand 1.3? You can't. So it is little bit jumbled. For example, here you have British democratic politics and Chartist. Chartist is a movement of labor class in Britain, which is a consequence, reform movement. Parliamentary reforms 1832 is a consequence of industrialization. वो तो बाद में दिखा रही है आपने English Revolution. ऐसे तो नहीं चलेगा ना. So it doesn't make any sense in a chronological fashion. It makes perfect sense in thematic fashion. But again, we can't do that. So what I have done, I have used the same syllabus and reshuffled it. I have not missed a single point, but this will not be the flow which we will follow in our class. We have to go with a different flow to make more logical sense for our understanding, so that आपका मन में जो दिमाग के पर्दे पे, आंखों के पर्दे पे जो मूवी चलेगा ना, वो मूवी logically progress हो. So what I am doing is not going by this. I am using exactly same thing. I am using all the dot points, all the words. I am not using a single word, but I am just reshuffling it, rejigging it, reorganizing it in a different fashion, which to give it more thematic yet chronological coherence. And we will follow this sequence. Believe in me, trust in me, सब कुछ cover होगा, अच्छे से cover होगा, don't worry. But sequence हमारा थोड़ा सा अलग होगा UPSC से. For example, the first point is part 1, 18th century enlightenment and its impact in 3 continents. So we'll start with the idea of enlightenment. But we cannot start there because enlightenment is trying to give a solution to some problems. But what are those problems? To appreciate that, we have to go few centuries before enlightenment, which will be our tomorrow's first lecture, which is actually technically out of syllabus. So you have first of all enlightenment and modern ideas. We focus on ideas, and then two thinkers, Kant and Rousseau. Again, the intellectual history that we start here is little difficult. Understanding Kant would require you to understand empiricism, rationalism, the tussle between the two, and how we found the solution to that tussle. इतना आसान तो है नहीं, because the tussle between empiricism and rationalism is much more deep, much older. But we can't do much. We have to start with what is given to us. So we'll study that properly. Then you go to how these ideas of enlightenment manifested themselves in 3 different continents in 3 different manners. American Revolution. We have to look for 3 topics: revolution, constitution, and civil war. We'll see that in series it will take almost entire week. Ek hafta will go on only American Revolution. Every year at least 1 or generally 2 questions come. Ek to aata hi aata tha, pakka. And there are so many topics here, to cover them it requires 3 lectures easily. Then you come to French Revolution. दिखने में लगता है छोटा सा है. It is one of the biggest topics. It will take at least 4 to 5 lectures. Only French Revolution. And then we have Latin America, Simon Bolivar, the El Libertar. But that topic will not take much, half a lecture or little bit more than that. 2 घंटे के अंदर अंदर आराम से हो जाएगा. So in all these 3 continents, the ideas of enlightenment led to various revolutions which concretized those ideas in political domain. Then you go to 19th century. In 19th century, we look at 3 different aspects. One aspect is the political history of Europe. The second aspect is industrial revolution and its consequences. And the third aspect is colonialism, imperialism, and neo-imperialism, and what happened in different continents. So in the same story of 19th century, there are three overlapping stories. We have to start from start to end. So we'll take one thread of 19th century in Europe. We'll start where the French Revolution ended. Napoleon was captured and Congress of Vienna started. From 1815, we'll move onwards till the formation of beginning of World War I. तो एंटायर 19th century politically क्या हो रहा है यूरोप के अंदर, वो हमें देखना है. And there are lots of things, as I said in very beginning, that the nationalism emerges in the west and gradually moves towards east, and that leads to a lot of reconfiguration of entire political structure of Europe. That is the story in short. In the first half of 19th century, you have a tussle between liberalism and conservatism. उस tussle में दोनों खत्म हो जाते हैं. Ultimately, liberalism leads to another way कि भाई हमसे कुछ हो नहीं पा रहा, let us go शरण to the elite. So it becomes aggressive and militaristic nationalism. No more romantic nationalism. And then you have conservatism. तो उनका टसल अलग से होता है. You have emergence of mass politics in the later half of 19th century. So you have this, and then when it leads to, when after Germany and Italy are created as nations, it goes to Balkan region. Balkan is Southeast Europe. और वहाँ पे तो ethnicity इतनी complicated है, it leads to erosion of empires altogether, Ottoman and Habsburg. So from start till the end, the story of spread of nationalism. Actually इसमें थोड़ा सा एक छोटा error हो गया है. This topic of British politics should not come here, it should come over here. But ठीक है, anyway. Then you go to industrial revolution. It start in English region. Why is there only? What are the characteristics? Was it really a revolution or evolution? Is it a sudden event, or there is something called as proto-industrialization before that? So we have that given in NCERT. They have given you the debate on proto-industrialization. I sometimes feel यार लोग अभी भी नहीं पढ़ते, उसको आंसर में लिखते नहीं है. If I make जितने लोग मेंस लिख रहे हैं अभी, if I give them a question on the causes of industrial revolution, कि इंग्लैंड में क्यों हुआ, why in England only the first revolution happened, they would give geography, raw material, political change, social change, discoveries, etc. मतलब अरे यार तुम मतलब this is the answer that was written in 1960s and 70s. Now the ideas even in NCERT have changed. NCERT मतलब बहुत छोटी चीज हो गई अब तो. You have to bring those. So you have to talk of proto-industrialization leading to industrial revolution. Was it a revolution? It, in the terms of impact, yes, but in the terms of speed, it was not. It was slow because of the proto-industrialization that happened before that over centuries, since the commercial revolution era. So anyway, then it went to other countries like USA, Germany, Russia, Japan, and then globalization, Chartist movement, and rise of Marx, etc. We have to look at all those things. Then you go to the third aspect of the same 19th century. It starts little bit before 19th century actually. How the Europe now forward with political idea of nationalism, aggressive nationalism, competitive nationalism on one hand, and capitalism and the भूख of industrial revolution. जब ये दोनों साथ में आते हैं to make you powerful, what you want to create is domination in the world. You try to create colonies. Colonization started before that. The Spanish and Portuguese had created Latin American colonies before that. Simon Bolivar had liberated Latin America before that. So these are not the type of colonies we're talking about. We are not talking of colonization in the first wave of 15th, 16th, 17th century, which was just a political colonization. We're talking of the next level of colonization, which came after industrial revolution, which was specific type of colonization which emerged under industrial capitalism. Its features are different. हम उनकी बात कर रहे हैं. जैसे in modern India we discuss कि आपके पास पहले mercantile capital आता है, then you have industrial capitalism and then financial capitalism. So mercantilism is the earlier era, वो हो गया, उसमें अमेरिका बन गया था, लैटिन अमेरिका बन गया, that's a different thing. Here we're talking about द नेक्स्ट लेवल वी टॉकिंग ऑफ नियो इंपेरियलिज्म, इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन के बाद जो आता है वो, उसमें क्या क्या हुआ. Then you reach 20th century. So 19th century, three themes overlapping from start to end. It would take almost half our course. Then the next things are 20th century. Again you start 20th century by Eric Hobsbawm is called as the short century. Short 20th century. It starts in 1914. It ends in 1991 with the fall of USSR. That is his perspective, his idea, because he defines century by some significant political event. 1914, 1991 is a short 20th century. 1789 to 1914 was a long 19th century. समझ में आ रहा है? नहीं आ रहा, देख लेंगे डिटेल में, don't worry. Once you come to 20th century, you have first of all the first few decades, World War I and World War II, causes and consequences, and the nature has societal implications. यहाँ पे लिखा है पहली बार, and we have total wars. Apart from that, you have lots and lots of dense amount of developments happening in the 20 years from 1919 to 1939. बस मात्र 20 साल है between World War I and World War II. Within those 20 years, we have humongous amount of changes happening. Not only we have the Russian Revolution that happened there at the fag end of the First World War. It led to creation of the first communist regime. We also have the fascist counter-revolution, Mussolini and Hitler coming up. Before that, we have Congress of Paris Peace Treaty and its consequences. We also have huge amount of changes happening in the Middle East, in the Arab world. Arab nationalism का एक stage आता है. You have Kemal Pasha and Ottoman Empire ending. So वहाँ के changes are very important. Israel, Palestine, Sykes-Picot, everything. Then apart from the Middle East and Egypt, etc., you also have changes happening at the global scale in economy in the form of Great Depression. So Great Depression आता है and New Deal, etc. All those things happen. So if there is a lot of density, it will take 2 weeks for us. 5, if not 6, at least 5 lectures only to cover interwar years. One lecture on fascism, one on half lecture on Great Deal and all those things. So उतना समय लगेगा. You have to bear with me. I am really sorry. अगर आपको 3 महीने में हिस्ट्री ऑप्शनल करना था या 4 महीने में, तो यहाँ पे नहीं आना था. Will take 5 months, 5 to 6 months. क्योंकि उतना सिलेबस है. And what we want to ensure कि आपका, देखो होता क्या है ना, you start at a level where you don't know anything. You have to digest many ideas. You have to think about them. They should become natural to you. It takes time. Wine जितनी पुरानी है उतनी अच्छी होती है. ठीक है. So it requires certain process. So here also for interwar developments we also have League of Nations and its attempts and failures. It will take at least 5 lectures, at most 6 lectures, but it is an important topic. So ये होगा from 1914 and even before that as a causes of the World War I till 1945 nuclear age begins. Then you go the world after World War II. That is our last section, but it has multiple themes clubbed into it. You have Chinese Revolution. We have emergence of 2 power blocks, the East and the West, First and Second World. And then you have emergence of Cold War. We have at least every year 1 or 2 questions on Cold War or some facets of it, its evolution, its regional theaters, its causes, its consequences. This Cold War is happening at the global level. What is happening in the Europe? Again we come back to Europe. Because somehow I'll discuss in some time, European history is the center stage for us. So Europe, post-war foundation, NATO and European community. जितना यूरोप डिवाइड इन था at the time of Protestantism, at the time of Reformation between Catholics and Protestants, which led to decades of wars. Similar amount of division in Europe reoccurred in the 20th century after World War in the case of Eastern Bloc and Western Bloc, communist countries and Western countries. And you have developments happening in both sides. Especially we focus on European community, expansion of European community, ultimately leading to European Union. We have to look at the history of Europe also, how it was divided, how it got united, and the changes happened in Eastern Europe in 1989, 2001. आज जो हो रहा है यूक्रेन में, it is nothing but contains the same thing. Everything has a past. We have to see. इसका अपना 1-1.5 लेक्चर होगा कम से कम. Then you have to look at what is happening in the third world. The world was colonized. World now, after Second World War, starts getting decolonized. It leads to creation of 200 countries today, and more than 60-70% of them have some form of democracy. And both these ideas of nation state and democracy came in modern sense from Europe. So हमें वो पूरी हिस्ट्री देखनी है कि which continents, lots of questions come on decolonization, and they come from different small countries here and there. It does not mean that you have to study history of 200 countries. No, we have to look at structures and patterns and comparison and take hardly 4 or 5 case studies which are given in our basic books. Then you'll be able to answer any question. So we have to talk about decolonization. Then you go to UNO. It's a small topic, UN and global dispute, the reforms in UN required, etc. And then factors led to the collapse of Soviet communism, 1991, and Gorbachev. And finally, you have end of Cold War and emergence of US as the sole unipolar or sole power unipolar world. That is the end of 1990s for us. आपका जन्म कब हुआ था? When were you born? 96. आप 2002. So you have not seen USSR in your life. मैं छोटा बच्चा था, टॉडलर था, 4 साल का, 3 साल का. I was born in 1988. So even I did not see USSR, but I remember the consequences being discussed in my childhood. 5 साल का, 7 साल का बातें चलती थी, कुछ याद तो है नहीं. I started reading newspaper when I was in maybe 3rd or 4th standard. तब भी उसके consequences चलते थे. The point is that you are born in different world. आप क्या बोलते हो? जेन जी के लोगों कुछ यहाँ पे जेन जी बोलते हैं ना. हाँ, मिलेनियल 1990s के होते हैं. 2000 के बाद वाले जो है वो जेन जी वाले. नहीं, it's not only social, it's a different generation now. Because these people are not only, I was born in the socialist era. You are born in the post-communist world. Those people who were born after 2000 are born in the world of social media. उनके लिए प्री सोशल मीडिया वर्ल्ड एग्जिस्ट. मुझे पता ऑर्कुट आया था, क्या हुआ था, राइट. इन लोगों को बाय डिफॉल्ट जब हाथ में मोबाइल आया, सामने फेसबुक तैयार था, है ना. तो मतलब बच्चे का जन्म 2002-4 में अगर हो जाता है तो उनके लिए बचपन से फेसबुक है. It's a different world, they can't imagine. But anyway, my point is that we'll come to that world and stop.